Okay, we're back. Welcome back to the FNCS. I'm sorry. I'm not over it. I'm not over it. I gotta see that solo clutch from Bolts one more time. If you missed it, if you just tuned in, check out this moment. Okay, Acorn and Bolts, they're in game 2. They have not the greatest game 1. Acorn goes down. Bolt is left by himself, and you would think it's game over, Kelly. I thought it was, and then somehow, some way, Bolt forces the stars to align and comes out with a win, and now we will be seeing them in finals. Crazy!
I see. I like that you say that he forces the stars to align, because saying the stars align implies that he didn't have any control over the situation. Bolt was in control the entire time. Even when things looked like it wasn't going to go this way, you could tell that he was calm and collected. It wasn't freaking out, Vivid. So impressive.
Yeah, just cool, calm, and collected. Played everything in the moment perfectly. Like, I couldn't have done that. It gave me like 10 tries at the exact same situation. Incredible stuff from Bolts. I'm interested to see how the leaderboard looks now that we've had some crazy couple of first games.
Well, let's take a look together. If you're just tuning in, you're seeing 1,000 points. Don't freak out, Timmy. That just means they got a Victory Royale, so we won't be seeing them for the rest of the day, but we will be seeing them in our finals. We want to end the day in the top 10, which is basically the top 15. And let's take a look at 122 points right now. Lendon and Nave sitting in that #1 spot. Kind of scares me a little bit though, right, Kelly? If I'm looking in 5th place, Reed Cooper moving down a few placements. I'm a little scared. I'm a little worried, Kelly.
Shh, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah,
To
right,
already be in 3rd place for placement, considering that we, only have 3 more games to go. Even if they're continuing with what we have seen already, they are a shoo-in to at least get our top 10 through placements. But it is Cooper and it is Reed. You know that they don't want to go through placements. They want the win. And honestly, this game just looked so much better than what we saw from game #1. Actually, they were doing good in game #1 too. So I can't say it looked so much better. This just, once again, too many people up in the air. There's just so much chaos going, especially when you are on the high ground looking down below. You don't expect people to be flying above you. So I think for Reed and Cooper, this one can be excused.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, found themselves on the high ground again, but that one was short-lived. You can see that they kind of stole the high ground away, but before they even had a moment's notice to go ahead and relax and kind of connect to some old builds, there was already another team flying and contesting up there. So just maybe, caught by surprise there, which is surprising for a duo like Reed and Cooper, but I mean, consistently finding themselves up on the high ground and in healthy positions. They're looking good.
That leaderboard is looking crazy, right? I mean, even Venno Curve in that last game, we're still looking for that pop-off performance. I'm waiting for that Venno moment. I feel like he's waiting, right? He's lulling me into a false sense of security, but I know it's gonna happen, Venno. I know we're gonna come out with a win or some crazy play.
I mean, for him to, now what, he got 3 eliminations in game #1 by Zone 1, and now it gets 4 eliminations off the drop. Obviously, their early game is not much of a concern for them right now, but to be able to go into the end game, having so much more storm damage, but then still be able to kind of frantically run through the middle ground and not really be able to get your footing. For Curve and Venno, honestly, I think it could just literally come down to Zone 7, they do a dead side rotation, and they just get lucky with a zone pull, and that could really just be the difference for them getting that Victory Royale. Speaking of the differences, Muzz and Sphinx right here as well, looking to be just kind of in, again, a similar situation we saw from game 1, Vivid, where they were below that damage threshold and hoping to make a few changes for game 3.
I mean, actually, they looked pretty good that game when we tuned into them, right? I saw they were 300-400 above, and you can say the same thing about a couple of our teams that struggled in game #1. So I do think some of our duos already making those adjustments that they need to, but way more games left to go. They got to stay consistent or have that pop-off game.
Listen, if there's one thing I'm not, it's worried, okay? Because I trust and believe in Muzz and Sphinx. Okay, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Game 3 is ready. Casters, over to you.
Honestly, Monster, things are already taking a turn from yesterday. To start this one, I said a lot of the big names in Heat 1 didn't win games. They got through for consistency, and already starting off, our 2 games here have been won by some of the biggest names.
Yeah, definitely. The big boys punching their tickets out, but like Bolts just messaged out online, it was by accident. He was like, dude, I'm just playing the game over here, and things just start falling into place. You'll love to see it, though. Game 3. We're already almost halfway through this. The battle bus is ready. Let's go, Jacob.
You said it yourself, the pivotal halfway point through today's heat. And well, it's not a time to worry just yet, but if this game doesn't go your way, depending on where the leaderboard says, you might need to go for a big win. So that's why it's pivotal. It's so important to get as many points as you can in this game to close that gap for the last half of the day.
Yeah, we haven't even been focusing outside, of course, on who's been consistent so far, because these wins have been absolutely explosive. Game 1 was a huge surprise. Game 2 was an even bigger upset, right, with Bolts' performance. Like, at this point, I'm just wondering what's going to happen here in game number 3. But let's look at the Dark Dominion. Last game, we had 4 different duos here. Things have seemed to temper down a little bit. Now it's just 3, more or less. We got Void and Alfonso, Lors' team, and then Kira and Bubba.
I'm just wondering who up top, did anybody take Acorn and Bolts' spot? Because honestly, anytime I've ever seen Acorn and Bolts be contested at that top mountain, they've just absolutely dominated teams in everything from scrims, eval cups to FNCS itself. So now that the spot is open up, maybe a couple of other teams are like, hey, we'll try our hand at that. Some people were even last season looking at that as one of the best drops in the game due to the wingsuits. And now that it's changed, it's kind of being owned by Acorn and Bolts. They finally find success there here early on in this tournament. Venno and Curve, we saw them in the last 2 games. 2 games, Monster, clear out Battlewood Boulevard single-handedly. This time around, doesn't look like they got those same opportunities, but I don't think their aggression is going to slow down at all.
Yeah, you say single-handedly. I'm thinking almost instantaneously. Every time in the last couple of rounds we tuned in, it was all done and done, but it seems like teams are being a little bit more cautious here. But Venno has Diego, gets deleted there. Tries to roll to safety, doesn't quite work out. Unfortunately, Suspects jumps to the side there, finish things up pretty quickly here. Seems like they had a little bit of assistance from some teams in the distance, putting some shots in.
Stacks and Ayo. Just easy damage for them, start to accumulate that surge. I know you spoke about it briefly, is sometimes you start to take those fights, it's not necessarily for the eliminations every single time. Sometimes a win in itself is 20, 30, 40 damage while not taking a single point yourself. So jump on board Frigid Fortress. A lot of this fight throughout the first 2 games has been kind of split. They go their separate ways. This time around, it looks like Fishy and Jaeger looking like they actually want to take control of Frigid Fortress itself. They don't want to be the ones splitting and having to look elsewhere on the map for their loot.
Yeah, I will say I don't like the spot that they've landed themselves in right now. I feel like they are absolutely limited on the amount of material that they have access to, and you can see it's reflecting in their loadouts. As you look at Mako and Blanks here, were they considering actually chopping out the entire foundation of this tower? Possibly, but now they're looking for a little side angle here. They're probably just giving Jaeger what they want, though. They're bringing the fight up to them.
It's kind of a brave move right here from Mako and Blanks because they're fighting from the low ground up, but you talked about the limited nature for Jaeger and Fishy. You see they have no extra heals. Jaeger barely has a sliver of shield, but he's missing HP, so that kind of evens out. They're at a huge disadvantage here in terms of loadout materials and overall resources. The longer they stay stagnant in this position, the harder it's going to be to make something of this game.
See on the side here, I know I'm flying and Exet continue to try to lurk. The last time they almost caught Alfonso and Void on the other side. This time they come up a little bit closer. It seems like they might have anticipated that this team was going to get close. Double shotgun opener there. That Chaos shotgun hit so hard as well. And you can see it was 120 damage done, but the counterfire from Void was very effective there. Force the splash here. It's all up to flying here. He hasn't taken any damage, but Void's still dangerous.
Yeah, hops into the box the first time. He's willing to take a shot to deal 1. That trade will be worthwhile in his favor, but it does look like one's going to be able to get out. Void finally gets his cleanup. Siphon there. Big pot on the ground along with Minis. So if he has the time, he could get up to 200 effective shield and HP. But as this fight's going down, Bubba and Kira say, yo, I hear all this noise. Who didn't invite us to the party? Because now they're lurking down below. Flying does finish off his fight. He gets the elimination. But how long can you celebrate this before disaster strikes?
Yeah, I'm curious to know if Bubba and Kira paying enough attention to the feed at what this duo was. You know, obviously a fairly newer team as far as recognition is concerned, so they probably don't quite understand the severity of the situation. It's just a solo in there.
How long do you wait? When do you start to make the noise? As long as they're getting those audio cues of him just stomping around down there, they're okay just sitting here. But the thing they need to be careful of is Dark Dominion has so much metal in the actual POI. Other teams that don't have that access begin to rotate in this direction and try to farm up at least a little bit. Flying senses that he doesn't hear anything up above. And sometimes when you're in a triple contested drop, lack of noise, lack of information is information in its own right.
Go to the quick highlight here from Veno. Curve continuing to find success here at the drop. Zen Monsta finished off instantly. Titron as well. The quick follow-up there. Curve and Veno just flexing their ability to fight as a duo. Definitely impressive.
I feel like with the 3 different games, the 3 different zones so far, you're kind of seeing each of the different paths that Reet and Cooper are actually taking on the north side of the map, from rotating to the west to rotating straight south or following the shoreline when the zone went down there in that last game. Showing that they can be diverse. So if you're trying to prep for them, figure out what their blueprint is, it's not going to be easy. Minty and Autumn looking like they're trying to disengage away from this new sanctuary, and rightfully so. Once you're down in that divot of new sanctuary, whether you're contested at the actual spot or not, you see how many surrounding mountains are there. So it's not as easy to get out as it was to get in.
It's definitely a riskier POI to play.
Come on, Maz.
Muzz and Sphinx
Fit
on
your
the other
Wi-Fi.
hand, here at the Squibbly Shores, seem to be just fine and situated as they're rotating out. I've seen them have some problems, generally struggling with Storm Surge. Although the stats leading into this, you know, you wouldn't have thought, you know, coming out of the play-ins, how well and how successful they've been
said
kind of in their early games.
so
Something
to
had
feel
to seem to
odd
click,
right now.
at least after the first 2 games.
I don't know if that's
See what
true
their
or
adjusted
that's only
strategy's gonna be
cool,
like.
but
I'm assuming they're going to be looking for a fight here shortly. Keep tabs on them.
Either that, or they're just so confident they know exactly where the zone's going to go, beat every other team there, and maybe try to box up in some of those trees that have the extra health. But Threats and Veer slowed down after their first game. We saw them go down rather early outside of a good chunk of those points in that last game. So now, I wouldn't say they're playing catch up by any means, but they're in a similar situation as other teams in the lobby of the importance of this game number 3, whether they win it and qualify, or just hopefully make it to at least top 8 to get half of those placement points. That is going to be the goal for them.
They're at least in the conversation though, right? Like game 3, 57 points. Could be worse as we jump in with Blanks and Mako. Only 3 points. Ducky's team have yet to earn themselves anything. This is a new team that's rolled into the Fortress here, finding Mako.
One of the teams, I talked about the difference of Frigid Fortress. Mako and Blanks were actually pushed away from this game, other than the last 2 that they've been playing so far. They rotate towards the north, just try to get some extra scraps. They run into a Ducky and his duo here. They try to shockwave off the mountain, but that just leaves them susceptible to damage here. Great thing for them is they didn't take a ton. So depending on where they're at in that early game fight, they're either going to be barely below the damage threshold or possibly barely above.
Sneak Zoom right now, just kind of hanging out. 2 elims for them, so they've won their contested drop off the gate. Let's take a look at how that all played out. It's a quick and easy pickup there. Bad shockwave's gonna leave Cube exposed there. Let's see what Encrypted's up to here as they're rotating right now. They're just outside the wonky Wonderland. This game seems to be going relatively smoothly for them.
Like, unfortunately, not everybody can say it's as smooth. Reboot Vant was just used. You heard the noise. Maybe Kaz was trying to go for a saving play. Might have got jumped in by Ruins. Now they're getting pushed. He's trying to save the day, but does not get to finish that opportunity. But for Ruins and his duo here, 31 points. Sometimes you just need that one game to flip the switch. Momentum starts to go on your side, and you kind of steamroll for them. It's just only step one. They just need to continue in the same trajectory that they're doing now. Teeks and Knaves, 122 points. This is our first place team coming into this game in terms of consistency.
Yeah, very good. This is the surprise, I'd say the surprise duo so far. Definitely the underdogs performing here. And there's a couple underdogs up there as well. CZ and Raven, you see, just hanging on behind them. So both games, game one being the stronger for Raven's duo. That third place was for sure impressive, but following right up behind that with another end game. Speaking of which, we get to get a little bit of a perspective in here at the, looks to be the Dominion. Again, all that metal to play with. Puts you in a position of strength here, Jacob.
Yeah, just Reet and Cooper in the distance, using that big launch pad with the Fizz from Latte Landing. They can kind of land almost anywhere in the center of the map, even further, depending on how they play their cards. And I got to imagine it was out of render distance from Raven, which is why you didn't necessarily see him take shots in that direction. As Degen, Eulogy, this is the team right here, 62 points. They're performing decently well, but their biggest problem of the day has been Storm Surge. They're 223 above this time around. You can see they taken Acorn and Bolt spot after that last win. They're just hoping to be able to execute it just as good.
Yeah, Blanks and Mako have the high ground as well. But some big pressure here. Degen try to get to launch pad. That's not going to go well if they hit that here too soon. Let's see what they got to go for the fight. Okay, a couple pizzas. The box has been thrown down, so this is good. I'm thinking they gotta pressure back here, right? You see yourself 200 above, you're taking exchanges, is directly dropping you down. You have to think that this is a fight worth full committing for. Meanwhile, Dash and Cam on the move here already find themselves on the favorable side of the zone. No eyes on them just yet.
Immediately making it in, and then sometimes that's what you got to do. You can't always go for the best position on the map every single time for every single rotation. Sometimes you just got to take what you can get, and the way this zone is going for Dash and Cam, that might be a good position to be able to get some surge there from other teams rotating in. Gotta say the launch pad right here, and this is another one. I talked about Reet and the Latte Landing large launch pad. That one right there is another one of those launch pads where it goes a little bit higher and a little bit further than some of the other launch pads on the map. And then if you combine it with the Flowberry Fizz, you can definitely get out of harm's way and kind of dodge the mid game just like this. But for Eulogy and Degen, we saw them 200 above, now 22 below, and Degen no longer here, so possibly an ill-advised fight, or maybe they got jumped on. Either way, Eulogy is stuck in this position again.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate too, because the opportunity was right before him, right? Those players were absolutely exposed there. He just had to hit a couple more tags to buy some room, some time, if you will, and that would have honestly put him in a spot to not have to heal so soon here in the storm. Pressure's going to ease up for now, but the clock is, of course, ticking. He's going to have to go here. So many pizzas to work with.
Yeah, just 7 above. He knows it's enough that he can kind of rotate in. He can make an attempt for Degen's reboot card, but at the same time, he needs to start figuring out how he's going to get damage. But we saw it's the launch pad. Degen probably trying to escape one fight, ends up getting targeted by a whole nother team and goes down.
Yeah, that was that first initial launch pad. We kind of called it out. It's going to be dangerous if he took it. Unless they let their guard down. A little too confident on the escape plan, but enough in salt after that great execution of some high ground and then dropping the ball just a bit there in the end game. They fought hard, but they are in the conversation now at 61 points. They pop off this game, they'll be well on their way into a, honestly, probably a ride to the finals, right? A clean top 10.
So where we're seeing the difference between last Heat yesterday to where we saw Agers, Javi's team. We saw so many of those juggernauts that you'd think would get a win go through some consistency. Now that the opposite is happening here, we're actually seeing some of these up-and-comers, these players with the potential to pop off, actually being able to show their hand here at the top of the leaderboard. Veno and Curve. Is kind of mix up both of those. Curve kind of getting the limelight a little bit here this season. Rightfully so. He earned it not only through the offseason, but his performances throughout last year. Now he gets the big-time player with Veno on his side. And a slow start to their game, but I think it's because they're maybe going a little bit too aggressive here in the early portions of the tournament. I think if they just tighten up here for games 3, 4, and 5, they can either get a win or just boost up the leaderboard in no time at all.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely really cool. You know, at Globals, I had asked Reet, like, yo, what do you think about, like, Curly, Curve, right? These new gunners. And he was just gassing them up. He's like, bro, this is the future. And it is nice to see someone like Curve playing with Veno now. This is arguably his big shot here to pop off.
Doggo and Ghoul seem to be going through it right now, but they're handling the pressure well. From below the damage threshold to above the damage threshold to right back below, all simultaneously having to rotate in toward the zone. Ghoul trying to get those minis off so that way the Storm Surge tick doesn't touch his HP as much, but Doggo doesn't have that same luxury, doesn't have the same hills, but he's peeking through the window, getting some good damage. They barely get above the damage threshold, but it's barely above that. Somebody could sneeze in their direction, they find themselves below, but for now, they're just happy with what they got. As long as they're above and not taking damage, that's a win for them.
This is where experience really starts to pay off here. How do you perform underneath this newfound pressure of the Surge? Obviously, in a set lobby, you know everyone nearby you is probably exceptional at the game, but this is where you got to hit your shots to see what Autumn's got. He's bringing the battle to the opponents, and no, they let their guard down. Small mistake there, forgetting to check their sides, and Raven and CDZ have continued to show us that they have what it takes under the pressure. They were also just barely hanging on there, but they're the team that steps up and performs.
Yeah, and for them to actually get the down instead of everything else is huge, because then Raven and CDZ, they get the knock. That's damage there, and then they clean up the actual knock. That's extra damage on top. And you saw where they were at in terms of Storm Surge. That was much needed for them to stay calm, cool, collected in this scenario and continue to shine as bright as they are as of now. Jump on board Threats and Veer. A little bit more experience and firepower on this team. 400 or so damage above the threshold. Much better performance for them this time around, and it's absolutely needed. Only 57 points. They're behind the curve, but they definitely have a chance to catch up here.
Yeah, they got great Surge right now, so I think they're going to be in excellent shape here with those overdrive shocks as well. So we have yet to see the best of threats pop off in this set lobby so far. Muzz Sphinx playing for the mid to high ground here. Like this play here, this is that boldness, this is the confidence that someone like Muzz needs to put down here when you know that you are far behind the kind of the situation of the overall points, but Cooper and Reet are playing like they have something to prove. Every game, they're also going for high ground.
Yeah, probably just kind of get some good practice. Like, I know it's heats. Not every single team is all in the same lobby. You got to earn that spot there, but we know how many of our superstars in Fortnite love to go for that high ground and sacrifice everything to try to make that play a possibility. But instantly, they go from high ground to low. Something new we haven't seen so far in this game, as you see where Veno and Curve pick up their 6th elimination of this game. Multiple eliminations here. They've just been getting busy while everybody else is just trying to survive.
Look at this, someone lands right into the hands of Curve and Veno there. Sphinx and Muzz end up clashing against them as well. So just a little bit of dangerous territory down here in the low ground. I wonder, why did Muzz and Sphinx actually concede the high ground there? You would think they'd want to hold it here because they need to play for this endgame. They need these big position points here. Either way,
Top 22.
Lanny in the loadout. I like what I'm seeing here, Jacob.
Yeah, top 22. At least some placement points are starting to set in. But it starts to cascade more and more with every team that does go down. Half of the placement points outside of the 1,000 in first place, they do come in the top 10. And even more so all the way down to the top 1, where you actually get that FNCS Grand Final spot. 1,000 points for your efforts. Keys, Stiff, 28 points so far. Good chunk of those coming in this game right now, and this is where you start to build that momentum. You start to build the confidence, and that's the most important part going into the second half of the day. Veno and Curve, they're building that confidence as each and every second goes by, but got to be careful. Muzz and Sphinx on the other side, instantly trying to use that harpoon to break through the wood build, but there's still no opportunity there because Muzz and Sphinx are playing very, very precise.
I love it. It just takes me back to the original kind of comp days when the harpoon first found its highlights. Take a look at this, though. We got Drew and Chris on high ground right now. Okay, this is teams that are no strangers to set lobbies right now, like what I'm seeing right now. An early take for Hike. Now, they don't have a lot of material to kind of maintain this, so Drew going up a couple layers is probably going to come back to bite him unless he can actually find a refresher here. So how can they make the most with the situation they put themselves in? Meanwhile, Sphinx and Muzz in the bottom right-hand side here, just trying to position up, ante up against the teams on the layer. All in all, though, they bounce back into the storm, playing the miss there, and it's all eyes, though, from Chris and Drew. They're just not easing up here.
Yeah, they just instantly keep trying to target out second height. That goes from Muzz and Sphinx to Keys and Stiff. While all that distraction's going down, Reed gets one and absolutely blasts the other. Back-to-back eliminations for Reed and Cooper. You see why at one point or another, he was the damage-dealing leader in this heat. But that got passed up by Veno after that last game. Him and Curve are finally finding their stride here in this game, but Veno gets dropped down to just a sliver of HP. He needs Curve to buy him time to pop the Chug Jug, and that's exactly what Curve is going to be able to do.
Still a lot of skill left in the lobby. This is not going to be an easy one for anyone. As I say that, though, Cooper gets caught on the rotate there, and now it's all up to Reed. Reed's already done it once, but pressure coming from down low as well. Into the box, just no time to breathe there as CDZ and Raven continue to be the disruptors to the veterans in the lobby.
Not the
Meanwhile,
Soto cut,
Sphinx's
maybe.
POV not much better. Veno, Curve on the other side, approaching 10 eliminations here inside the top 10. But I'm looking at high ground too. High ground starting to gas out of material here. A new team goes up, but Chris and Drew play excellent defense there, and they shut down Evan. There goes a refresh for them. What is going down?
One-on-one, and
They're just trying to scrap. They see that they're here on the leaderboard and they can get the win. They don't have to play for a cushion. He did his job. He got the high ground, but he lost his teammate all along the way. He's feeling just how Sphinx is feeling, but Sphinx is stuck down below. He's in the mud, but he's trying to control the front part of the zone. He's seeing it open up, and he's trying to get himself any nook and cranny that he can hold on to. A couple more eliminations going down as Curve and Veno continue to run wild. 11 eliminations so far. Scratch that. 12 eliminations so far. They might not be the only duo left in this game, but they certainly look like the strongest.
Well, you know what? CDZ and Raven have continued to fire up. They're heating up too, so this is going to be a big clash. We got the new guard and
no one loaded up yet.
And look at that. It's an exchange there as Curve now has to step up. Raven is just not going to be strong enough, though, and Curve proves why it's been all support for him here on the NA region. Meanwhile, Sphinx playing the zone here, uses all his pizza to stay in the game. Curve's got potential eyes on him. There's a great right-hand peek, but no! Sphinx calls the shots here, and he ends up winning that exchange. And now, Jacob, it's just a 2v1.
I don't know what happened, but when Muzz went down, Sphinx looked at him and said, "Don't worry, brother, I got this." And he's been on a rampage ever since, turning into a solo FNCS 1v1. Huge advantage for Sphinx here outside of the high ground, but it does not matter. Muzz and Sphinx may have had a slow start, but see y'all in finals.
Hey, we saw Bolts clutch out. Sphinx said, "Hold my water, I'm coming through too," and he does it for himself. And that just shows you why we were hyping up this heat here. Another game, another fantastic performance. Congrats to Muzz and Sphinx there, Zeke.
Hey, what did I say? What did I say, Vivid? What did I say not that long ago? What did I say?
Yeah. We get it, Zeke.
I'm not worried. Muzz and Sphinx. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna walk away now. I'm gonna make you think about what you did. Think about what you did, Vivid. Think about it.
Listen, guys, all I did, I was like, we were watching that game, and I took a little peek at the leaderboard, and I was like, oh my gosh. Muzz and Sphinx going in that game, they were 29th place on the leaderboard. They had 16 total points, and yeah, I mean, all it takes in this format is one good game, but after those first two games, it was not looking good. And I mean, wow. Sphinx just putting the duo in his backpack right there. A solo clutch to qualify to Grands. I feel like we've seen this before today.
Yeah, a reoccurring theme is happening, but I do want to say that the changes that they made to their early game to allow them to not have to deal with Storm Surge, I think definitely is a part of their success that they saw in game number 3. But Muzz and Sphinx, they played that really well. There was actually a moment where I thought that was going to be Reed and Cooper's game, and then they pushed to go to the front end of zone, and they pushed right in front of Muzz and Sphinx, and I yelled, "No, what are you doing?" And then within a second, Muzz and Sphinx eliminate them quickly. If there is someone that you do not want to be in the crosshairs to, that is Muzz and Sphinx.
See, Fortnite fam, do you see the script that I'm writing? Do you see what, like, I'm not worried? When I'm not worried, it's because I know I've written it a certain way and I'm not worried. That should clue you in. Shout out to Sphinx, crazy solo clutch, crazy slide play at the end. Now we'll be seeing our best friends in the finals. You love to see it. I love to see it. With that being said, though, 2 games left to go. Another set of victory royales to come out. We need to be in the top 10 and we want to keep the FNCS stream alive. For now, a break. When we return, more FNCS. So stay tuned.